come upon your mental challenge an hour and a half later than when you would have had it.
So the actual people are tired, not the characters are tired.
The people are tired.
All right.
How do you handle the situation when the players are just not getting it? Do you end the session and say, all right, well, maybe a fresh perspective, next time will help you out? Do you let something like a die roll, settle things? Well, how do you handle it?
I go with whatever is going to be the most fun for the people at the time. If they've got one more thing and then bam, we're at the end of the dungeon, I'll just make it easier for them. Whatever they fumble through, I'll like, oh yeah, that was brilliant what you just did. That was great, and the door opens. If they've got a heck of a lot more dungeon, I'll call a break there. I say, all right, we'll pick up here next time.
Okay.
So it depends on where we're at. And the whole goal isn't necessarily that I'm going to follow, my map and what I made, and I'm going to follow the rules to the letter. I want my players to have a good time. And if that means bending a rule or making it so the rogue only needed to roll a 10 instead of a 19 to get through, then you know what? I'll bend that rule. I'll twist that rule. Because me having a good time and them having a good time is so much more important than this monster has 118 hit points and you only got through 117 and so you're all now dead. If it's going to be a dramatic ending that everybody dies in a glorious, blaze of fantasticness and they're going to enjoy it, great. You know what? If that's just going to be a disappointing thing that's going to piss everybody off, well, then that monster only had 116 hit points and you just made it. So it's really going to depend on what's going to make everybody have the best time. Okay. Like I'm not a stickler for rules. I don't even memorize the rules. I'll have a guideline in my head of where I want them to get to, and I'll just go with it.
Awesome.
And that makes sense. I just watched a video recently, and it was called "Put the Dice Down," because DMs they come up with these scenarios and they make it all hinged on a die roll, and then they're upset when the players fail the roll.
Yep.
When if it was that important, why'd you even put it in there? Why? Just let them do it.
Yeah.
Just let them do it, because it moves your story along. It lets the players get to where they're going. It just makes more sense that way.
And I want them to have the challenge, and I want them to roll the dice, and I want them to feel like they're on the brink of death. Maybe somebody dies. All right, because you want to give them that Ned Stark moment of holy crap, nobody's safe.
Right.
But you don't want to just ruin an encounter because somebody happened to fail 3 die rolls in a row, and now well, guess what? You're stuck in a pit and you're never going to get out. That's not fun for anybody.
I know I'm all on board with the put the dice down. I actually had a session somewhat in the near past where there was a possible hostile encounter. People were on edge. Bad guys or NPCs were had that hand close to the gun type of thing, and I'm trying to be the hero here, and I'm trying to get a peaceful resolution of the situation, because as far as I was concerned, neither side were bad guys. And half the table, they've got the D20 in their hand, ready to make a decision. And I totally just, turned and yelled at the players. I'm like, just put the damn dice down. And I talked the way through it. And, again, a situation where Dave was the DM, he looked at it as a situation where he thought the players were weren't going to attack, but we're going to use skills. And, just using a die roll to, replace words. And, he actually, applauded me for just using words. And, I mean, that's the kind of style that I tend to go with. I prefer more of a role-playing scenario to just using a die roll to solve a situation.
Well, I feel like with, third edition, and then even more so with Pathfinder, we've really trained our players to grab the dice first and role play last. And it's all about, what does the sheet say I can do, instead of just going, hey, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And that applies no matter where you're at, whether you're, in the forest, in the town, or in a dungeon crawl. We don't need to grab the dice all the time.
Right.
Sometimes there's conflict that you have to resolve, and that's the randomness of the dice. But other times it's like, okay, there's someone in front of you. What do you do?
Yeah.
You don't need the dice yet.
You're a person. They're a person.
Nothing happened.
Speak.
So linking back to your intellectual puzzle.
Yeah.
our